Welcome to 5-Minute Math. This is Carrie Rhinehart. Today we're going to be looking at factoring by grouping. If you're following along in the book, this is from Algebra 1, Unit 6, Lesson 4. Okay, so again, with factoring, we're trying to take a polynomial and split it into smaller polynomials that are being multiplied together. Remember, always look for a GCF first. There may or may not be one, but you should look for it and factor it out if there is one. Then if you can factor more, if you have 4 terms, okay, then we're going to factor by grouping. Factoring by grouping is a lot like factoring GCF, but you split it into 2 groups and then you factor each group separately for GCFs. And then you factor out another GCF. So again, this is for 4 terms you're going to factor by grouping. For example, let's say that I have 2x cubed minus x squared plus 6x minus 3. If I look at all 4 terms here, 2x cubed, negative x squared, 6x, and negative 3, there is no common factor between all 4 of those. So I can't take out a GCF yet. But since it's 4 terms, I could try to factor by grouping. So I'm going to create 2 groups. I'm going to put the first 2 terms in parentheses. I'm going to put an addition sign in between. Always put an addition sign in between, even if this is negative. Okay? And then the last 2 terms go in another group. Now, if this was negative, it would go into the parentheses with that 6x. It'd be negative 6x. So just watch out for that. And now we're going to look for GCFs just in each group. So I've got 2x cubed minus x squared. So between those 2 terms, I can take out an x squared. That's the GCF. And then remember, I need to factor both or divide both of these by x squared. So 2x cubed divided by x squared would leave a 2x. And then x squared divided by x squared cancels out, but there's an understood 1 left, so we need to make sure we put that there. That's minus 1. All right, now I'm looking at 6x and negative 3. The GCF there is a 3, so I have a plus 3 here, and I need to divide both of them by 3. Well, 6x divided by 3 is 2x, and 3 divided by 3 is 1, so that's minus 1. If this can be factored by grouping, then you'll notice you've got 2 different terms here. You've got this and this. Within each term, we have a common binomial, 2x minus 1. Okay. So what you're doing now is you're actually factoring out this common binomial factor. So we're going to take out that 2x minus 1. That's the common factor that we're taking out. And then you divide both of these by that 2x minus 1 that you just took out. Well, those would cancel, and I'd be left with x squared. And those would cancel, and I'd be left with plus 3. So this is our final answer, 2x minus 1 times x squared plus 3. And again, you can always check your factoring work by distributing. Okay? Distribute and make sure that you end up with what you began with to see if you've done it correctly. All right, let me try one more. Okay, so let's say we have 3mn plus 6n minus 4m minus 8. Okay, again, out of all 4 of these terms, there's no GCF. So I'm going to break this into 2 groups because we've got 4 terms. So we've got 3mn plus 6n. Remember, always put an addition sign in between when you're doing grouping. And then bring that negative with the 4m minus 8. All right, my GCF for 3mn and 6n would be 3n. I can factor out a 3n. So divide both of these by 3n. I would be left with just m here plus just 2 here, because 6 divided by 3 is 2 and the n's cancel. Plus, here, I need to factor out a negative 4. Okay? And then divide both of those by that negative 4. So that leaves me with a positive m and a positive 2 here, which is good because I've got these 2 terms now, and they have that common binomial factor of m plus 2. So I'm going to factor out that m plus 2, and then what's left over is this 3n plus negative 4, or just 3n minus 4. And then this would be your final answer.